I read 3 queer books this month. I'm wearing a Halsey t-shirt and I'm drinking tea out of a Subaru mug. So if that gives you any sort of inclination as to how my reading journey was over the past 28 days of February, buckle up. As usual, this is a spoiler-free review for what I read in the past month and what I'm heading into for March. So, first off, it was my turn to pick the book for book club this month, and it was something that I've been neglecting to read for far too long, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I know I said this in my last monthly wrap-up video about a book, but I'm calling it. This is going to be, once again, on my top 5 list for 2025. Guaranteed this is gonna hold up as one of my favorite reads of the year. I haven't read something this effortlessly funny and unique and heartwarming in such a long time. I immediately fell in love with our main character, with all of our side characters, and then also with TJ Klune's writing. He does such a great job of really making these chaotic scenes feel like you're in the room. And something that I'm really excited to do is look up the fan art about this book, because if you don't know the premise, it is a caseworker from the Department of Magical Youth is sent to an island to kind of check in on and see how a specific caretaker is handling his caseload of magical youth. And so the kids in this book are all so special in their own ways. And I just cannot pick a favorite. I think Talia, maybe, but also I have a really soft spot for Chauncey. I don't know. I want to see all of the fan art ever about these characters and this world. And I mean, even the cover, if the cover art inspires any of the fan art, it's gonna be a treat. I know it. So this was an absolute home run to start the month off with. And then from there, I went into finishing the Gearbreakers duology with Godslayers by Hana Mikuta. I found this series through recommendation on YouTube, in which the person who recommended it said that the second book was by far their favorite out of the 2, which I think is how you always hope something goes, right? Especially if you're committing to multiple books, you want it to get better and better as it goes. This is a young author. This is full of queer representation. It, a lot like Cerulean Sea, is full to the brim with found family and strong friend groups and very individualized characters. The duology premise is that these 2 girls are fighting these evil government robots, but one of each of these girls comes from the opposite sides of the war, and they come together to take down the government. At times, I got a little bit lost in the amount of characters that are in here that aren't fully fleshed out, and it's I would love to know more about their side stories, but I don't feel like we even got enough of them in here to make them all relevant. But the 2 main characters are really worth reading. And since this is a second book, I don't really want to talk that much about it without spoiling. But what I will say is there is a chapter in here where it's that everything's a little too sweet and a little too calm and a little too perfect, and they're just living it up in paradise. And it is so beautifully written, and it's calming, but something's right around the corner. Done magnificently, and I overall had a really fun time reading this book. This author, Hana Mikuta, at the time of publication for both of these, I'm pretty sure she was a university student. I don't know if she still is, but I really look forward to what this young author will continue to write. That is a YA book, and so I kind of spent a lot of time just hoping they'd kiss. And from there, I wanted to read more of an adult queer relationship, and so I finally picked up Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I have been attending my local library's queer book club, and maybe Julia Armfield came out more recently with a different book, and that got this brought up, I think. And this has been on my shelf for a minute, and I've not picked it up just out of really high expectations for it, if I'm being honest. What I wish somebody would have told me before I read this book is that it is a little bit more magical than it alludes to. And I say that because you are getting 2 points of views. You're getting each wife, one who is a marine biologist and she gets trapped, you guessed it, under the sea in a submersible. And then the other point of view is her wife recounting like how Submersible Wife returned from her misadventure. And so they're not really on the same page, and you're getting two different timelines from two different point of views, and that is fine. It's just not what I was looking for in terms of like a relationship. This is written really beautifully, and like I said, I wish I would have known that it's a little bit magical and there's a little bit of interpretation at play here. But this is a quick read. I flew through it. I don't know if you can tell, but I put a few book darts in it too. Like, there is a lot of like commentary on just like how even the people that you love and surround yourself with and think positively of maybe like view a lesbian relationship or just a queer relationship in general, I guess, that I couldn't help but mark. I really think I would have benefited from finishing this and just immediately turning it back to page 1 and starting over, because knowing where it ends, like, I don't know, I almost wish somebody would have spoiled it for me and I would have just like known what I was getting. But maybe that's kind of a gift, is like I'll get to enjoy this twice because I know I will go back to it. Anyways, like the rest of the world, I did pick up Onyx Storm this month. I am really not far in at all, and that's what I'm going to be starting March with. Something that I'm doing this year as part of like a low buy year is I'm not letting myself purchase books until I've read 3 books from my physical TBR, and I kind of worked to line that up with Onyx Storm. Let me tell you, it was a feat to find it with white edges. I'll say it, I don't like a sprayed edge. I particularly really dislike just like a solid black sprayed edge, because I feel like once you've read that book and you set it down, it's imperfect and it looks gritty and I don't like it. So it was desperately important for me to find this in just like a normal print. And I recently did. So this is what I'm starting March off with, and I guess ending February with too. But another thing that I picked up and I'm really excited for, because the next one comes out in March, is the first trade in the new Marvel Ultimate Spider-Man. The twist and what makes this one different is that Peter Parker is an adult. He's married, he has a family, and he chooses to become Spider-Man. So it's not him figuring out how to handle the responsibility, it's what happens if Spider-Man is born out of somebody who's already ready for it. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and this is fun. This is exciting to me, and it's been like a long time coming for me to like actively read a Spider-Man issue or like series as it's coming out. I really did grapple with whether or not I should pick up the trades or read issue by issue, but overall I think that reading a trade, because you get like a larger arc, is just a better reading experience. And I mean, it's a lot cheaper too, because a trade is about $20, whereas 6 issues would probably run you like $30 at least for this series. So yeah, I read 3 books in February. I'm doing great on my goal of reading more queer things, and I am probably going to suck up a big chunk of the beginning of March with Onyx Storm. And I think the internet is going to be done talking about it by the time I'm there, so that's okay. And I'm looking forward to rewarding myself after that with some Spider-Man. So yeah, I will see you in March.